I'm interested in changing the way people farm around here. To do that, you both have to show great animals, great pasture, great water quality, and a great bottom line. I have some ideas, I have some experiences, I'm building on that, but there's always new and better information available. I just have to figure out how to adapt it and how to make it work for me and work for this land. We've decided we really like just free range with shade structures as opposed to real chicken tractors. We think the birds are actually happy. They exercise more. They tend to walk around more.
Why were you so focused on making it profitable? Why was that so important to you?
It was kind of a organized,
that's a great idea.
Process with the express goal of retaining customers. Everyone will always tell you it's a whole lot cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get a new customer. And so that's what we focus on.
So you are Mike, and this is Bean Hollow Farm, right?
Bean Hollow Grassfed.
You've got a lot of, you've got a good amount of acreage here. It's beautiful. You've got mountain views in like every direction. What are you doing here? So you said it's grass-fed, but you've got different species. So what is Bean Hollow? What are you doing here?
So Bean Hollow is a 200 plus acre farm. We have about 100 acres of that is in grass. We focus on raising grass, and we use grazing animals, ruminants, that can eat grass to, in essence, harvest that product and monetize it for us. So we have beef animals, sheep, and then we also have some others that are not strictly grazers, like some baby pigs, broilers. But the idea is to build the health of this landscape, the health of the ecosystem, while at the same time making money. We have kind of those dual objectives.
Yeah. If your goal is grass and then converting that into a profitable scale, what did this look like beforehand? Like, was this like a really rough terrain beforehand and that's why you're really focused on the grass? Or what got that started on being focused on the grass?
Well, this has always been in grass. The farm was bought as kind of a raw piece of land by my in-laws about 45 years ago. And my mother-in-law had an interest in sheep. So she raised sheep for a couple of years, but they weren't really they weren't farmers per se.
Okay, so they just did like a standard graze?
Yeah. Then probably 25 years ago, they basically realized they were too old to be doing this on a long term. And so but they loved living here. This was their community. So they leased the farmland, the grazing, to a neighbor who grazed it kind of conventionally, or he raised beef cattle, but it basically was kind of what we call set stocked. He put the animals on here, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then came back. So the land was actually pretty degraded. We moved, my wife and I moved here. We retired from other jobs, not in agriculture. Retired here basically first and foremost to take care of my in-laws. They wanted to live in place here, and they needed someone to kind of take over. Both my wife and I were doing some consulting, but I kept looking out the window and going, you know, Mike, you've been talking about using livestock to really rehabilitate an ecosystem. This is an opportunity to prove yourself. Having never done it, I talked about it, I'd done research on it, but I had never done it. That was the kind of premise about 10 years ago we started, and we've been researching at this for 10 years. As I said, when we started, I had dual objectives, or I still have dual objectives, but our goal was to make money and restore the ecosystem simultaneously. And except for the first year, when I lost $49, ever since then we've made money and we're seeing dramatic improvements. I wanted to just show you quickly here. So we pasture chickens out on the pastures, and one of the reasons is for the benefit of the chickens.
Can we go see them?
Yeah, we will in just a second. I
Okay.
want to show you one thing here first.
Okay. Okay.
So we're going to see those, but they benefit from being out on grass and getting
Yeah.
bugs and everything else. But they also contribute back to the system by their manure and their nitrogen.
Is that the
and
dark spots we're
fertilizer.
seeing here?
So when you look down here,
Yeah, you can
you
see
see
right where they were.
two stripes, and that's where those two, we actually changed the management coming back, but they were initially in what are called
Chicken tractors?
chicken tractors,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going along there. So this is 4 weeks old,
That's awesome.
and you can see already the difference.
So you started grazing relatively early then, if that's 4 weeks old already.
Yeah, we've been grazing here. Well, we graze all year round.
Okay, even chickens?
Well, no, chickens
Okay,
we
okay.
started 4
That's
weeks
what I
ago.
meant.
I'm
That's what
sorry.
I meant. Yeah. So you started with chickens relatively early. Is that because your pastures are so dense, or is that because just the weather allowed you to this year?
It's a combination of the environment. The weather was suitable. We were pretty sure we could not have huge environmental challenges, weather challenges. We did brood them in the barn in some brooding cages for 2 weeks, but then we moved them out here 4 weeks ago. We had enough grass, and we're also interested in market. So
Okay, so the
there's-
earlier you can get the birds to
the
your farmers
earlier
markets,
you
of
can,
course. Yeah.
we can produce birds to customers, the more we build that customer interest, and then they keep coming back. So
Yep.
all winter, our market is principally pork, lamb, and beef. But we sell everything from this farm, we sell as cuts out of that store.
Like retail cuts, not whole
retail
animals.
cuts.
Yeah.
We do probably maybe 5-6% of our total sales are as whole animals, but a tiny percentage.
Okay.
So we also, once people have been having 4 months of beef, pork, and lamb, to give them something new, give them a whole fresh
Yeah.
broiler, kind of excites them.
Well, and then you're probably sold out from the winter time.
Oh,
Like-
we're totally sold out.
Yeah, like you probably sell out in the fall.
And we were sold out at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
so
our-
it's kind of nice to have fresh chicken back on.
That's right.
When I remember, so we did farmers markets, and I mean that first farmers market, if we had chicken, everybody was happy. If we
Exactly.
didn't have chicken, no one was happy with us.
Didn't matter how good your steaks were or anything else.
Well, let's go
walk
see
over
these
to-
chicken tractors. I'm very interested in these because they look kind of like your own design almost.
They're
and you
our
said
own
you
design,
changed-
and we're actually now, with this batch, last couple weeks of this batch, or last 2 weeks of this batch, we've changed completely. And once these go to market later this week, we're gonna totally rehab everything again. We've decided we really like just free range with shade structures as opposed to real chicken tractors.
I would agree. We did that on our farm for 1 year. Actually, it was like one batch. My favorite way ever to raise chickens is completely open, but we had a huge owl problem, and we had to go back to Salatin chicken tractors. So what are these tractors you've got here?
They're just a homemade design. Those are like 4 years old, and they're a mess.
And you've got turkeys out here too with your chickens.
Yeah, the turkeys are actually a new experiment.
Okay.
We've never done turkeys before, but we had an opportunity for, frankly, some free turkey chicks. And it was like, well, let's test this, see kind of what it looks like. So you can see some young turkeys. The broilers are basically ready to go this week. But what we now do is everything is in just a net fence with a guard dog.
Did I see a guinea in there too?
The guinea is not supposed to be in there. The guinea's supposed to be out.
Okay.
But I saw the guinea. There should be a second one in there somewhere too.
Okay, so you have just your Cornish cross broilers, your white-breasted turkeys with a guardian dog.
Yep.
2 tractors, and then you have.
Just
is this
a-
your feed?
That's just a non-GMO feed from Sunrise
Okay,
Farms.
but that gives them extra shade then.
Yeah.
And then you've got the net out here.
Yeah.
Wow,
and then
that's
we
awesome.
have, we're still working.
Oh, you got like a sawzall or oh my gosh, what are those called? Brain fart. Yeah,
the waterer.
Yeah, what is that called?
The bell waterer.
Oh my gosh, what do you have it hanging on?
We have it just on sawhorses. And then
Sawhorse.
this,
That's what I was trying to say.
this is, and then we just bring out water. I mean, they were going through.
And you got your water on this trailer here.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
so I could just pull that out.
Yeah.
And 2 barrels of that basically are a day and a half.
What a great idea you have with this. I mean, that's just a little yard trailer.
Yeah.
Throw some barrels on. What a wonderful idea. And then sawhorses with your waters. So why change? You said that you did have them in the chicken tractors by themselves forever, and now you're doing open pasture. Why?
Ease, labor, and we think the birds are actually happy. They exercise more. They tend to walk around more.
How is the labor easier?
Oh, because moving those tractor trailers and keeping it from running over the birds and everything else was almost a 2-person job.
Do you still have to move them though?
We move them, but what we do is we'll pull the net, we'll put some feed out in front. All the birds will walk out to the feed. The chicken, all the shade structures basically become empty. Then you can move them with no problem.
What a wonderful idea. I like the way that you just throw it. We saw a farmer in Michigan, and he said, yeah, I just throw the feed on the ground. And I was like, mind blown. You don't.
No, I'll
need
show
to
you.
have them
I've
in
got a
buckets.
lot of feeders sitting around, but it was like, we started putting them on the ground when we were doing the chicken tractors because it was the same idea. I would throw it on the ground at the front of the tractor. All the birds would move to the front, and then I could move most of the way without the worrying about them getting caught. But it was like, wait a minute, that's one less thing I have to clean. It doesn't hurt. It actually helps, I think, in the big picture.
I think people get concerned about waste when you're putting them on the ground. They say, oh, they're not going to eat all of it. Can we go back to where they were before and see if there is any waste?
Tell me if you can find any feed.
Because these probably moved this morning, right?
Yesterday.
They moved yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday afternoon.
So it's been about 24 hours
Yep.
since they were here, and no, I can't find any feed. Oh, barely.
Yep.
There's a little bit
there.
Okay.
Our experience is that when you have feeders, there's enough turkey manure or chicken manure in those feeders at the end of the day that you end up dumping out some of that anyway just to clean it.
Yeah.
And it's probably about the same as this.
And then this is 48 hours ago. Does it help your wild population? When we were walking up here, we saw wild turkeys coming through here. So does it attract varmint, like bad
I don't know.
ones? You don't know yet. Okay.
We've always had wild turkeys here. This morning, Amanda texted me and said, hey, we got 4 wild turkeys going around and around the outside of the pen looking for feed. So I don't know.
Is that hot? Is the fence hot? Oh, you don't have it hot. Okay. No, interesting. So I guess that's to be determined. If it's going to cause a problem or not. But I love the experiment side of it.
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Our varmint problems, quote unquote varmint problems, are much more of an issue in the barn. So anytime I have stuff
like
in the
rats
barn,
or mice.
rats and mice and stuff, out here you don't get any of that.
Yeah.
I'll see an occasional possum, but with the guard dog, the possums and the raccoons stay away. And we don't have, we have owls, but we seem to have almost no predation with the guard dog.
Yeah, the guard dog is a good point for the owl. So we had a goose, and we were so mad at her because we were like, why aren't you doing your job? What is wrong with you? And then we found out that she's blind at night. No. Geese can't see at night. So I'd watched her fight off a hawk before.
But it had to be during the
But
daytime.
it was only day. So at night, we had no cover. We didn't have a big enough farm to justify a livestock guardian dog. So we ended up just going back to tractors. So we're seeing you in the middle right now of you transitioning to open. So what is it going to look like next year, you say, when you're going to revamp everything entirely? Do you know yet?
I have ideas.
Okay.
No is a very dangerous term in farming. It will probably be a wheeled shade structure.
Like the Justin Rhodes chickshaw almost? Have you seen that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit like that. Maybe a little bit simpler. We have to be careful because we have a lot of wind here.
Okay.
So we're going to have to work that out. I mean, this used to be a laying hen.
Okay.
Kind of thing. I bet we flipped that. You can look at it. It's been flipped probably 5 times. in the last couple of years.
We like to say that we use things that are multi-purpose.
Yeah. This one sometimes was up, or multiple times was upside down. So
Oh no, because
so-
of the wind.
because of the wind. So
Wow.
it'll be lower than that. Part of it is
Okay.
making it lower. Part of it may be making the shade portion more porous, so that wind can actually pass through.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool.
But it'll be. I'm pretty sure we're not going back to chicken tractors.
How many chickens do you raise a year then?
Oh, we're still working on it. This is
Okay.
a batch of 300. We'll do another. We're going to start in batches of 300. The part of the issue is this is profitable as long as I can get a premium market for them with the direct retail. If we have to sell them wholesale or at a discount kind of thing, it's probably not worth it for us. So our interest will be to find the right market number that we can move birds at on a regular basis at a premium price.
Gotcha.
It's probably somewhere around 2,000 birds,
A year.
2,500
Okay.
birds a year.
Cool.
And, it's always, when we first come out, you think, oh man, this market's huge.
Uh-huh.
Because we'll have people buy 4 and 5 animals or birds at a time.
Yeah.
And, we'll go through the first 300, we'll go through in a week.
Uh-huh.
And then the second 300 will take 3 weeks. And then it's like, where are we here?
Yeah. You mentioned profitability. And if you were retired when you came here and you had no agricultural experience whatsoever, you were kind of just experimenting, why were you so focused on making it profitable? Why was that so important to you?
Two major. When I say I had no agricultural experience, I had no production experience.
Oh, okay.
I'd worked in agricultural research and consulting,
I see.
but I'd never been a farmer.
Like in what capacity then?
Oh, I had run Rodale Organic Farming Research Center.
Oh, okay, I see.
I had done work from in Latin America and Africa.
Wow.
I had run business incubators for beginning farmers,
Wow.
vegetable
Okay.
farmers in the Midwest.
So if you'd had that experience, why, again, were you so focused on making it profitable?
Because if farming's not profitable, I don't care what you're doing ecologically, it's not sustainable. Someone has to live off that management. And I'm interested in changing the way people farm around here. To do that, you both have to show great animals, great pasture, great water quality, and a great bottom line.
Yeah. Because on our drive up here, we saw a lot of row crop, which we're from Indiana originally.
Yeah.
We haven't seen row crop in a while.
Well, row crop
We've been in the
shouldn't be
mountains
here.
for a while.
I mean, frankly, down by Louisa, perhaps, but Rappahannock County, there's probably 300 acres in the entire county that have the terrain that's appropriate for row crop, and even that's marginal.
And there's definitely
if you're
more
from
than-
Indiana,
Yeah.
that's
Flat. And there's definitely more than 300 acres
Yeah.
being farmed row crop. So you're interested in changing the way people farm around here. And I totally understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. That makes so much sense. Yes, you can have the greener grass, you can have higher production value, you can have cleaner water, but if you're not making money, nobody else is going to do
Yeah.
it. That
well,
makes total
no one
sense.
will change.
Okay.
Okay, so it's subtle here because this is where I get in trouble.
Okay. And we can edit anything if
No,
you
that's
decide
all
you
right.
don't
That's
wanna
all right. Most of the cattle farmers in Rappahannock County are not making money. They cash flow because they don't count their own labor or management. They don't have a land cost because most of them the land's been in the family for years, or they lease land from others at essentially no cost because the landowner benefits from a land use taxation benefit. So no one calculates depreciation. So they all cash flow,
Yeah.
okay? And I think they're making money, but they're not making money. So I want to show them how they can make money that's real money.
Yeah.
So it's, we're getting there, and there's all kinds of components of change and being open to change. Profit was the one we always used to talk about, if it's not profitable, but it's also culture. It's also risk.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing when I do this change. I know the expectation is very clear with a conventional system. I put cows out there, I buy hay, I feed hay somewhere around minimum of 90 days. Hay, now prices are going up. So then people say, well, I'll make my hay so I won't have any cost. Well, you got machinery costs, it's real cost, but it doesn't show on a cash basis. So we don't make any hay. This farm used to make some hay down on those lower fields down there. We took everything out of hay and put it into grazing, direct grazing. And part of that is, if you do the numbers, there's no way I can make a bale of hay anywhere close to what I can buy, put in my barn for.
Yeah.
So I can buy hay at $45, $50 a bale.
Round bales or
Round
square
bales,
bales?
big
Okay.
round bales, 650 to 750 pounds. It costs me, I don't do it, but the penciled numbers were somewhere around $110, $120
To do it yourself.
to do it ourselves.
Wow.
And a land cost.
Yeah,
So
because then
I
you're
can't-
taking that land out
Right.
of production.
And then the third part of it is, if your primary business is not hay production, then it gets slotted in when you have time.
You're going to miss
So
those
what happens
windows.
is you miss windows,
Yeah.
it gets rained on. If you make shitty hay, you own shitty hay. If you buying hay, I don't have to buy shitty hay.
Right.
I test it, say, hey, this isn't going to meet standards, I'll go somewhere else. Now, I have a bunch of producers that I buy from, and I don't test every bale anymore. But we have an agreement, and they know what I'm looking for. And they'll tell me, you don't want that hay. This is what you want. So, you just got to be kind of, I won't say blunt, but transparent. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I think it's worth. I know the numbers of hay production. I'm not going to bicker with you over $5 a bale when I know I can't make it
Right.
at twice that amount.
Right. How about with your customer base? You mentioned how the sales fluctuate over the year depending. So how do you feel like after 10 years you're doing with your customer base?
I think we're in pretty good shape. We moved to the direct marketing just before COVID. I had a different arrangement prior to that where I was selling animals wholesale to a colleague who was doing the direct-to-consumer business. And so I did all of his lamb, a little bit of beef. We didn't do pigs at that point. That was really nice, actually. It was really easy.
Kind of got all the reward.
Well, we got paid a kind of a compromise price that we had set. It was a lower labor system. He took a good job somewhere else. Basically shut down his farming operation. He took a really nice position up north. So then it was like, do I go back to, or do I, not go back because I hadn't really been doing it, but do I do the sale barn route, or do I think about doing direct to consumer myself?
Yeah.
And so, did a lot of calculations. I probably had more Excel spreadsheets out there than, and basically decided that we would do a farm store. We would do on the farm, everything retail. We'd do all the cut sheets, do everything, and literally sell by the cut. Challenge was I didn't really know that much about meat, frankly. You get a cut sheet and it's got 50 options, and you go, okay, I know what a New York strip steak is. I know ground beef. I kind of know what a chuck roast is, but what's a Denver steak? What's a chuck eye steak? What's a Delmonico? And so it took some time learning those. I had a great opportunity that one of the local slaughterhouses, USDA slaughterhouses, I was over there quizzing the bejesus out of him. And he said, you know what? Why don't you just come tomorrow? He said, well, we'll be cutting beef tomorrow. And you just stand in the corner and watch, and
Yeah.
I'll call out things as I see them. And so I did that with beef. I did that with a day they were doing pork. I did that a day they were doing lamb. In fact, I did it like 3 times with lamb because I really didn't understand lamb cuts.
Yeah.
And that really helped. We had no customer base at that point really, because it was all Mike's customers.
Yeah.
So we
Did you at least get those customers? Like, did he send them your way? Or
Yeah, a little bit, but see, most of it, he got a great deal and moved. I mean, just like we're done. So he basically closed. I bought some of his inventory, and we started with that. I had a little bit of his customer list, but not much.
Yeah.
He didn't have a particularly sophisticated customer list. We were really lucky in that we opened in December 2019.
Okay.
Okay. And I had those freezers were absolutely chock full. And I was like, holy shit, how am I ever going to sell these things? And so we kind of played around. I did some Facebook.
So you didn't do farmers markets?
No. No, there wasn't a farmer's market. The closest farmer's market was in Warrenton. And I was like, I had sworn I would never do farmers markets.
Okay.
Like getting up at crack of dawn, driving, setting up, selling you don't know how much,
Yeah.
coming back, restocking. It was like, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So I hadn't done that. I will tell you, I now do one farmers market that's here local.
Okay.
But I do it more as a civic benefit than I do it's actually marketing, it's not sales.
Yeah.
December, January, beginning of February 2020, I said, we're going to have to run a sale. We'll put an ad in the paper. We'll start telling people that 20% off. So I got all set to run those. I had not actually bought the ad in the paper. COVID hit, and literally COVID around here kind of became a thing. There were shortages on the supermarket shelves in like first week of March. And by middle of April, I didn't have a thing in my freezers. I mean, it was like, whoa, what just happened?
Wow.
And then I couldn't get, slots for a long time. So there was a lot of juggling. We captured all the names of everyone who came.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, these are all new customers. I had experience as running business incubators and stuff like that, that those names were transitory. I mean, people were coming 1 time, 2 times, but how do you keep them? We invested a lot of time with emailing. Every night I would go down to the store and we would collect whoever had been there. They would each get an individual email that referenced what cuts they bought, so it was personalized to that extent.
Wow.
That said, thank you for your purchase of a sirloin steak and the eggs. We hope you come back if you have any questions. And we kept hammering. And so for everyone who was a new customer, they got 3 emails over the course of 3 weeks. So it was a very intentional, thank you very much for your purchase. Any questions? Then a second email that was, I hope that you've had a chance now to cook something and enjoyed it. If you have any questions, again. And the fourth was, by now you've probably cooked everything you bought, so it's probably time to come back and here's what we got. So it was kind of a organized.
That's a great idea.
Process with the express goal of retaining customers.
Did it work?
Yeah, we had about 150 names and emails when COVID hit. We jumped to about 1,000.
Wow.
By the end of that year. And we've had some flow, but we probably lose 10% a year.
Okay.
And replace. We're still basically at 1,100 names. Everyone will always tell you it's a whole lot cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get a new customer.
Yeah.
And so that's what we focus on.
Yeah.
The other thing we did with the direct to consumer that made a huge difference economically was its self-service. We made a decision, again, all those spreadsheets I talked about, there was like no way I could pay someone to stay, to man a store and make that profitable. So you weren't going to be able to do it all, be open all the time. So then it was, okay, we'll man a store, but we'll only have limited hours. But when I started to query people, there was like no period that was a majority of the time that my customers wanted. They, you know, some wanted during the week, some wanted Friday night when they were getting ready for the weekend, some wanted Sunday night when they were about to go back to DC. So, you know, it was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so we made the decision to try self-serve, and it's worked like a charm.
On the honor system.
It's an honor system,
Yeah.
and that in and of itself is a marketing tool. People are like, oh man, I want to support an honor system.
Yeah.
The reality is if they come up to our store, they've come up a long dirt road. It's not like you're just kind of randomly going by. And assuming you like what you get, which is a core assumption there, then you want us to succeed because you want to come back.
Right. You don't want your nice farmer with the beautiful steaks to go under, of course not.
So that's the kind of assumptions we work on.
So you've been doing this for 10 years now. You've got a really good handle on your marketing, on your customer reliance, on just your day-to-day farming. What, like, overall advice or just like number one thing you've learned while being here and doing this?
Just the affirmation that you can actually do this. You can actually manage a farm for both profit and ecological health and be successful at it. So, I mean, we're not making gobs of money,
Right.
but we're making
A living wage.
I've ventured to say we're making more than any other livestock farmer in the county, with the exception of one big farm to the south of us. But for anyone at this scale, we're making more money than anybody else.
And that's obviously a decent living wage, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
I mean, I'm not fully supporting my family off of this.
Okay.
We're making a decent wage, and we're paying. I have the young woman who went by, started as a volunteer, moved to kind of as an employee, and she will buy the business
Okay.
at some point.
So you have children and they aren't interested in this, but
I mean, they're interested, but they don't want to come and farm.
so she's interested.
She's a local woman. Family didn't have the resources. She didn't have the resources to own land on any scale, but was always interested in agriculture. Is the embodiment of the kind of person you want to see succeed in this.
Very cool.
And a woman, which I think is great as well.
In the agriculture industry, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're kind of working through the process of kind of what's the transition look like? How does she buy it?
Yeah.
What are the values? What are the assets? And we'll see. I mean, I'm 73 years old. I love doing this, but I'm not sure I want to do it 24/7 for a lot longer.
Yeah.
I like traveling. I like visiting my kids in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So this will work, I think.
Well, thank you, Mike, for taking the time out of your day to chat with me, show me around. I love what you're doing here, and I especially love the way that you valued your marketing. It's really hard for small farmers to execute. So it's so great, and not to mention it's absolutely beautiful around here.
Yeah,
so what an office you have.
It's a hard place not to feel pretty good about getting up in the morning and walking outside to do it. In fact, the hard part here is getting up in the morning and going to your desk that you should be doing if you're going to run a successful business, as opposed to running out and feeding some chickens or moving some sheep.
I want to be outside. Right. All right, well, thank you again.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. What an office to have. I mean, literally mountains in every angle. Paul and I, being from Indiana, we've craved the mountains for many, many years. And we think, wouldn't be so bad to have this as our office, huh? So what an awesome tour. I'm so glad I got to meet Mike and be here at Bean Hollow Farm. We are still making through our travels and having so much fun. If you haven't seen yet, we do have a Facebook group up and running. We want to just promote the conversation, just keep adding to it. Things like how to have a successful marketing strategy for your customers. How do you write 3 emails for a new customer? These are all things that we want to help share with you, whether you're a farm business, just a small hobby farm, or just somebody who likes to have conversation with farmers. We want you, so come see our Facebook group. It is Breaking New Roots Group on Facebook. Make sure you answer the questions, otherwise we will think that you're a scammer bot, and I know you're not. So make sure you answer the questions and we will keep having these conversations. Join us next time for our awesome next farm tour.